Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 42. You might notice that my background has changed. Wait a minute. This podcast is called The Moment Everything Changed. Okay, and I'm talking about everything. And the reason it's called this is because I help women master midlife. And this quite often shows up as weight loss or working with your body, healing your body, that type of thing. But what I want to offer is that it's way more than that. It's just that us as women, as mothers, we don't talk about all the stuff that goes on, all the stuff that we go through in midlife. And I'm here to do that. And so the reason I want to talk about the moment everything changed is because this is a pivotal moment in my midlife experience, and I want to share it with you. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll notice that I'm not at my house. I'm not in my office. I am traveling. I'm in Costa Rica. I'm doing the Guanacaste coast, and I'm just living my best life. I am doing all the things that I've always wanted to do, and it's possible for you too. I know when some people look at this, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome, but that's not possible for me. And I'm here to say that if you can think it in your brain, it's possible for you. So me being in Costa Rica, that's my dream. That's what I wanted to create for myself. So you just get to put in whatever your dream is in midlife. What is that? And just whenever I'm talking about achieving your goals, just plop that in there instead, because you might not want to go live in a tropical place. You might want to own your own business. You might want to stop working. You might want to sell your car and walk everywhere or e-bike everywhere. Like, I don't even know what your big goal is, but it's possible for you too. Now, this didn't just happen. I've been creating this for a long time in my brain. Let me go back to where it all started. I remember when I was even thinking about becoming a parent, I would ask people, should I, shouldn't I? And I just had this thought, like in my brain, I can't stay home for 5 years with my kids. I just can't do it. And I had this feeling that I was a bad mom. Even thinking that, when I look back on it, I laugh because it's just who I am. But I had a kind of societal constructs in my brain about, what you should be doing as soon as you become a mom, and how you take care of your kids, and committing your whole life to every waking moment and all that. And so right off the bat, it was funny because my brain was resisting. This was when I was just thinking about having kids. Should I have kids? And I'm like, I can't stay home for 5 years till they go to school. That's just not me. And I had a bad feeling about myself because of that. Because I'm like, I'm not maternal enough or whatever that is. But nonetheless, obviously, I decided that I was going to have kids anyway. And I was still going to live by my rules. But I was totally 1000% committed to being all in on my kids, meaning they are my number one priority, and I want to be the best parent possible for these kids. Now, I don't know how many of you know, because I don't usually share this about myself, but I raised my kids on my own. So since my youngest was 1.5 years, I have raised them all on my own. So single parent in a sense of nobody else in the picture. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's funny because I always feel guilty when I say that, because my mom helped me out a ton. My mom was always there for me, but in the big picture of things, it was just me, raising the kids, paying the bills, working, taking them to the sport, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not mad about it because my family, my kids and I are just so freaking tight. Such a team. Like, we are just so connected that I wouldn't change it for the world. I just am in love with our family, like just how we connect with each other and understand each other and support each other. And so I love my family. But the reason I'm telling you this and the reason I don't tell people is because I never want it to be an excuse for me, like why I couldn't do something. Oh, I was a single mom. I just never say that because in my brain, it's not a reason why I shouldn't do something. It's never been a reason why I shouldn't do something. Actually, it's the reason why I do all of these things. And so when my kids were getting older, I quit my job in film because that's like crazy long hours. And I opened a studio, a pre and postnatal studio where I could bring them to work with me. So I created an environment where they came to work with me because I didn't want them to be raised by somebody else. I wanted us to be together and grow as a family. I always call my kids like my best growth partners because I learn from them way more than they learn from me. That's the way I see it. Even when they were little kids, I'm just always learning from them. But when I decided to have kids, it was like, I'm just going to keep being me and doing all the things that I do. And so that's why I started a business, because then I could take them to work with me. I wouldn't have to be working and getting someone to cover me and like long hours and somebody babysitting my kids and daycare and all that kind of stuff. That didn't work for me. If it's like, I'm going to create these kids, then they're mine, my responsibility, and I'm going to create the best space for us to be our kind of family, whatever that looks like for us. And so from this very get-go, I was always like different. I didn't follow tradition, if you will. Like I've always been, just in my own head, having these ideas and thinking, hey, I wonder if that's possible. And then going out and trying it. And I'm sharing this because now I'm at the point where my kids are grown up. And I've been talking about this every chance I get because I want every midlife mom out there to know that yes, having small children is really hard. It is. Having babies is hard. Having young all the phases are hard. And maybe just because I'm in it, I'm thinking this is by far the hardest phase of letting them go. Like they are now grown adults and they just go and do stuff for themselves. And I'm having trouble stopping momming. So I love to mom. I didn't know this about myself until it came time for me to not mom anymore. And I'm just momming so hard. And what I mean by that is when my kids, who still live in the same house as me, are doing something in my brain is like thinking, oh, they need to make sure they do this and they need to make sure they do that. And I don't want to say that because they'll be fine. They'll figure it out. And that's how they figure it out. And the momming part comes in when I just can't resist. Like the conversation that goes on in my brain is like, oh, did they remember to do this? Okay, no, it doesn't matter. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud. And then the next thing I know, it just comes out of my mouth. I can't help myself. And it's hard to let go. So the reason it's so hard is because I just want to help them so much. And if you're a mom listening to this podcast, you know what I mean. Like it comes from our love of these creatures and we just want to help them and make their life easier. And we know from our experience and our knowledge that we could do that, but that's not always the best way to go about it. And so how do we let go of that and then support them in a way that works for them? And that's what I'm struggling with, is the letting go of the momming. My kids recently went on a trip to Miami, the two of them with a friend of theirs. And it was really hard to stop momming. You know why? Because I was in my same environment at my house, but the kids weren't there. And so it gave me extra time to worry about them, to think about them. What are they doing? Have they made plans? Here's some good ideas that they probably haven't thought about. And I just wanted to share it all with them. And I tried my hardest not to message them all the time. So it's a fine line. Like I still want them to know that they're on my mind and I love them, but I don't want to bother them all the time. I was dancing that fine line. Is it okay to send a message today? And they would never say anything because they're super kind human beings. This is all the conversation in my head. And I want you to know that too, that this is all what's going on in your head. Your story will be different. The conversation in your head will be different. Your situation will be different. But at the core, it's the same thing. It's these humans are our hearts, and now it's time for us to let them go. And it's so hard, like so hard. My heart explodes with the amazing humans they've become, and then it's like being crushed by the thought of letting them go. It's just so heart-wrenching. And so I came up with a plan. Well, I've been planning this for a very long time. And now it's just finally come to fruition where I broke up with them. What? Instead of them dumping me. And when I say this, I'm saying it jokingly because my kids are really nice. They're not going to be mean to me, but that's what it feels like. You're getting dumped, right? And because they want to go and live their life, which they should. And so instead of them dumping me because it was too painful, it was like a slow, painful death. And so I dumped them, which what I mean is I left. So when I was at home and they were gone, that was even more torturous because I'm in the same environment, same routine, all that kind of stuff, just minus my kids. So it was super, super painful. But in this situation, I have flown the nest because now everything is new for me. And I'm not focused on these kids all the time, what they're doing, if they're okay, if they need help. They don't we just have these thoughts and we say these words with the intention of helping them, but it's not. They're like, yeah, I know I'm not two anymore. And we do think of them as young because we've done everything for them all the time. And so that's where this comes from. And I had this moment. I was wondering, like the lead up to this moment was a lot of going back and forth in my brain. Like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. And then I would think about my boys and be like, but I feel bad leaving them. Even though we've had many, many conversations. And they're like, no, you go. We want you to go. We want to have the space to ourselves. We want to just be on our own. And we want you to go follow your dreams, Mom. Like, just go live your best life and do all the things because you've been the best mom ever. And we're just so proud of you. And we love to see you happy and following your dreams. Okay, there were lots of tears shed the night before I left. I'm not going to lie. It was very, very tearful, but in a good way too. Like, I feel teary just talking about it now because they're so supportive, like just so supportive of what I want to do with my life from here forward, and retiring as like hanging up my momming hat because I don't want to mom them anymore, but I always want to be there for them. And so how do I do that? How do I release that? Let that go. Let go of those tendencies and those desires and urges and those habits of saying the things. You just go live somewhere else. And I remember my mom saying this too. My mom said, well, because I was asking if she had a tough time with it too. And she said, it was a lot easier when we actually left our house, when we went and moved out on our own, because she didn't have to think about us all the time. And I'm like, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. And here's the epiphany that I had, which was my kids got up super early and drove me to the airport. And as I hugged them goodbye and then slowly walked to the doors, and I didn't want to. I kept looking back and blowing them kisses and just like waving. And, I just didn't want to let go. But when I did, I walked through those airport doors and something magical happened. I didn't notice until like hours, maybe even a day later, that I hadn't been momming in my brain. What? Like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I haven't mommed for hours, maybe even days. Like, it's not a thought in my brain. Are they okay? Like, I didn't worry about them driving home from the airport back home early in the morning, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't even on my radar. And I was so happy. I wasn't worried about them. I was focused on my journey. And it felt so good. It was so liberating, so freeing. And for a brief moment, I had this thought of like, is that okay? And then I threw that to the side. Of course it's okay. Yes, this is why I'm doing this. And even as I sit here today, I'm noticing that I'm more in my moment. So I feel like I've transitioned from being Phoenix and Santos's mom back to like Heather mode. Me, what do I want to do? Who am I in this moment? What am I creating for myself? And I'm putting all of that momming energy onto me. And it feels so good because I'm allowing myself to do it. The way this would be hard is if I didn't allow myself to do it. I'm like, yeah, but those kids, no, they are going to be fine. And they're spreading their wings and doing their thing. They're going to be totally and completely 100% fine. So I want to bring it back to noticing that if we can redirect our brain to where we want it to go so that we can get the results that we're looking for, it's going to be way easier. If we notice that we're having these feelings that we don't like, then we want to always take it back to our brain. What am I thinking right now? So if I'm free in the moment and I'm surfing and life is good, I'm like, man, I am in that moment. But if all of a sudden I feel guilty or like I'm a bad mom, my brain has gone back to my old patterns and habits. That's all it is. So I just get to redirect my brain back, because our brain is just designed to, avoid pain, seek pleasure, and keep us safe, conserve energy. And it does that by keeping us safe, right? So anytime there's something new coming up, our brain is like, whoa, that's new, that's scary, that could kill us. So it always tries to divert us back to what we've always done, the same old things that we've always done. And I wanted to share this moment with you because it was just like a light bulb, not even a light bulb moment, like a wah, where the skies opened up and the light came down kind of moment. Like, I haven't thought about my kids in a whole day, and I didn't even know that was possible. And then even when I say this to you guys, I'm like, oh, that sounds bad, but it's not bad. It's not bad. We as moms are designed to create these humans and guide them and then send them off on their own. Like, they are our love of our lives, but they're not our life purpose. Our life purpose is something different than that. Our life, and a lot of times we don't know that, and that's why we get sad and confused, is because we think, oh my God, they're our life purpose and now they don't need us anymore. But they're not our life's purpose. Our life's purpose is something different than that. If you didn't have kids, what would your life purpose be? That's what you want to focus on. Like, if you just took the kids out of the picture, that's where you'll find what your purpose is. And let me tell you, in midlife, you're going to have lots of opportunity to reinvent yourself. What your purpose was before won't be what your purpose is now. And I am on cloud nine every moment. I'm just totally thinking about myself. What do I want to do? Do I want to go swimming in the ocean? Do I want to go surfing? Do I want to go play pickleball? Do I want to go play tennis? Am I going to take some yoga or some salsa lessons? Like, all of this is happening inside my brain in such a liberating, freeing, amazing way that it's like, yes, this is what I was creating for myself all those years. And this is what I've been focusing on, and now it's come to fruition. And what I want to offer for you is, what is your life's purpose? What is it that you want to focus on? Because if your kids haven't left yet, if your kids haven't dumped you yet, they will. Trust me, they will. And it's hard AF. So if you can plan ahead of time and try to figure out what is your life's purpose, what lights you up, what is it that you want to spend your time and attention on when your kids don't need you as much anymore, and start putting the pieces into place now for when that happens. And then when the day comes, and it will way quicker than you thought it would or wanted it to, you could just pull the trigger. You're good to go. You're ready to go. You already have the plan of action in place. And I coach my clients on this all the time. I see this all the time. When the kids start to get more independent, us moms are just like totally, struggling because we're putting our purpose onto these humans, which is just a misdirected. That's all it is. And so if we can have a plan and redirect our focus of our purpose ahead of time, ooh, girl. And I just want to leave you with this. If you can think it in your brain, if it's in your awareness, you can create it for yourself. It wouldn't be possible for you to think up something that's not possible for you to create. And I want you to use this story. I want you to use my example of me in Costa Rica, working and playing harder than I'm working, as what's possible for you. And if you're not a traveler or whatever, that's fine. But you insert your big dream in there and know that it's possible. It is 100% possible. You just want to believe in yourself. You just want to take that next step and go, okay, back to me. What do I want to do? What does my life look like when I'm not momming all the time? And open up your heart and open up your imagination just to all possibilities, because everything is possible. So do not limit yourself. if you just threw it out there, like a question like, if anything was possible, what would I be doing from here forward? What would I be doing with my midlife time? What would I be doing in this transition? And then you go out there and you do it. All right, my friends, thank you for listening. As always, love yourself first and have an amazing day.